I have arrived at Sothman Lake, and this is where I'm going to kick off the Grassy River loop here in northern Temagami. If it's still called that. I don't know if this is still Temagami. It's well up north. Google took me on an interesting route to get here, but I've got a pretty good spot here. There's the lake right there, Sothman Lake. And I've got this access point to myself right now, so I'm just going to sleep here tonight. I've got some chips going, chips and salsa. I can hear an ATV or something. There are ATV trails all over the place here. It's crazy. So this is where Google took me today. I stopped at Elk Lake, which is already a small town. Here's a little reference point. There's Toronto, Sudbury. So stopped in Elk Lake. There. And then I intended to go across this highway, 560, through Gogama, which is better. But somewhere along the road, Google took me on the fastest route, which is much crazier. Went up 65 to Matachewan, across, what is this, 566, which is all gravel road now, past Mistinakan Lake, where I went last year. It's where first time I saw Canada Lynx was there, so that was incredible. Long way down this gravel road, and then down another gravel road to my access point here. So it was an interesting drive. Pretty wild here, but again, there are ATV trails everywhere. Anyway, I'm gonna get settled in, and I think I'll just sleep in the car tonight, and then I can get going tomorrow morning. Oh, hi. Didn't see you there. Just having a relaxing evening, chilling out, getting ready for tomorrow, getting all the gear set, and practicing my dance moves a little. I've got a wedding at the end of the month, and I wanted to see how my moves were doing, and still really awful, just terrible. So I'll be awkwardly dancing at that wedding, but I've done it so many times. What's one more? Anyway, I'll probably stay up late tonight. Just, I don't know. I might bring out my laptop and just edit some footage or something. When you're sleeping in the front seat of a car, last thing you want to do is go to bed early. You want to make the night as short as possible. Well, I'm going to get back to my fire here. It's 5:15, and I can no longer toss and turn in the front seat of the car. I have to sit up and just be awake. Managed to get about 4 hours of sleep in, but that's fine because look at this forecast. You couldn't ask for a better forecast. Not to mention that on these 2 nights, there is supposed to be high aurora activity, so my aurora quest continues, and I'm pretty far north, so I've got a chance here. But anyway, that forecast is just a delight. I'm super stoked for this. And the wind directions, one of the cool things about this route is that you can start from various places because of all the little access roads to individual lakes and ATV trails and whatnot. You can get in a lot of different ways, so I based my starting position and the overall route based on the wind directions, so I'm going to be making use of these wind directions as much as I can over the trip. As always, I downloaded whatever historical bathymetry I could for the lakes on this route. It's mostly pretty old, from the 70s or so, but it's so much better than nothing on new lakes. Anyway, once in a while you'll get lucky and find one like this, which is like a little summary on the lake in addition to the bathymetry. And these are so cool. The little descriptions they have. I wish I had this for every lake. It's kind of invaluable. They get Secchi disc readings and temperatures from top to bottom, which did not range very much. It's not this particular lake. Canoe Shed isn't overly deep, 31 feet, and there was only about 7.5 degrees Fahrenheit difference from top to bottom. That's pretty crazy. Tells you what fish there are, access. So cool. I wish there were more of these. It's almost 7 a.m. I'm on my way. And the loons are going crazy around here. Even all night they kind of were. It's calm and chilly, and I've got a short paddle to the first portage, which I think is the longest of the trip, 900 meters. Sothman Lake has been quite nice, very calm, quiet, except for the loons. And I'm paddling into the easternmost part of the lake, and I think the portage is here. I have a map that's kind of low resolution, and I don't have any exact map references really, so hopefully everything is pretty self-evident. This trip is I think 80 to 100 kilometers, and I couldn't find a real measure of it online, but my right elbow is already bugging me, so it's a bit of a concern, but it's held up through a lot. It'll hold up through this. This is a pike and walleye trip. That's pretty much the only species that are found on the route, except for the lake I'm trying to camp on today. I think is stocked with splake as well, but aside from that, it's all pike and walleye. Here it is. Online I read that these little nesting boxes were at a lot of the starts and ends of the portages. There is a small flag there, which is kind of hard to distinguish against the dying cedar leaves there. And the takeout looks pretty bad. Did quite a bit of clearing on this trail, and now it's in really good shape. It's a nice wide portage trail, so it's worth keeping up. Just getting back to the second load of gear, which is halfway already, and now just got to get this across and then I'm done. No deadfall on this one, but lots of ferns. And I almost couldn't find it. There's no marker for this one. And given how overgrown it is, it's hard to see that there's even a trail from the shore. And another pretty tricky takeout. This route might be a lot more wild than I expected. Cool. Alright, now I think I'm on Nugent Lake. Oh no, I'm not yet. No, there's another portage to Nugent. Anyway, there's a portage into Charmandy Lake that way. And that's the lake that I think has splake in it. And I think a campsite on that portage, so I'm gonna go check that out and see if that'll work for me tonight. Forgot something on the portage, heading back. Hadn't gotten far at least. These are pretty important. Oh, imagine if I had finished a couple portages and then realized that's the worst. Well, I paddled through kind of a dense wetland, hopped out of the canoe, sloshed through some muck, bushwhacked, and I'm not seeing any semblance of a trail into Charmandy Lake, so I think I'm going to call it. Now to get back out of this wetland. Alright, back to square one. I went up and down and then back up the shoreline as well. All along there. But nothing. Can't see any semblance of a trail at all. Too bad, I really wanted to get into that lake. It's probably one of the more secluded on the whole route. And obviously splake is an appeal, so. And now, I've got to do another portage, which I think is the hardest of the trip. It's only 300 meters, but it sounds like it's pretty technical. Good thing I didn't try to camp here last night. I had thoughts of trying to get here earlier and then racing into camp here, but would have been nothing for me. I've been getting bit at and just ripped the tail off of this paddle tail. And I saw it followed up. It was a 3 or 4 pound pike. Small, but interesting that there are fish in this lake. It's pretty small, relatively, and it doesn't look too deep. But I think I'll do a little casting now. Try it out. I'm sure few, if any, people fish this each year. I don't think most people would bother even trying, so who knows? Maybe there's a monster in there. Got one small pike. There are definitely decent numbers of pike in this little lake though. And now I'm paddling through the narrows into the northeast end of the lake and looking for my portage. Getting tired. Last night's sleep did not go very far. Another nesting box to mark the way. Yeah, the takeouts are clearly just consistently not very good. Pretty overgrown. But the portages themselves are not too bad. Yeah, this is definitely the least friendly portage so far. It ends with this very, very mucky walk. It starts with a steady climb. And then You go all the way back down real fast. It'd be a bad place to lose your footing. On Nugent Lake now, and I think all the portages are behind me for today, and most of them for the trip actually. That's nice to think about. Yeah, it's a long trip, but not too many portages. It's mostly on the Grassy River, which I think is all smooth sailing, except for one road that I have to portage around, I think. I don't know. Find out. I'm getting really hungry, really tired, and looking forward to setting up camp on Halliday Lake. I hope the campsite that was indicated on the map I have is there this time. My strategy with the wind is paying dividends right now, and if the rest of the trip goes like this with the wind, then it'll be definitely a doable, relatively easy trip here on out. There's a southwest wind and I'm heading northeast, so it's perfect. I did have some south ground to cover, but while I did that, it was all calm or portaging, so working out great today. Oh, right on cue. Just turned the camera on and got a good fish on. This is not tiny. It's just about to comment on something completely uninteresting. At least a 5-pounder, which is not much. It could be bigger. Hard to tell because it's not really fighting, but I can feel some weight. Oh, it's just fouled. That's why. It always feels like it weighs a ton. Ooh, my line's kind of in his teeth too. Don't want to lose this lure. That'd be not good. Not a big pike. Oh man, he absolutely inhaled this lure. It's crazy. Ah! It's that big paddle tail I use, and it's all in his mouth. And he's not that big. Crazy. Come here, fella. I'll get that out. Oh no. Oh. Okay, I'll grab him. Anyway, what I was gonna say is that most of the land here has been classic, like Northern Ontario. And so slimy. It's a chore catching pike sometimes. Some people say that. I love pike. Yeah. So most of it's been like this: cedar, fir, and spruce. And then over here is finally a good stand of red pine. So maybe there'll be some camping opportunities soon, because red pine usually facilitate more camping ground. Didn't think that guy was gonna make it. Took a few minutes for him to revive, but I'm really glad he did, because I don't feel like filleting it, and a bony little pike isn't what I feel like for lunch. Got a brick of boursin that I want to eat, some caramelized onion crackers. That's all I want right now. And who knows what the camp situation is, so I think I'll stop somewhere here and eat. I'm running on fumes. There are tons of minnows in this lake. It's not deep. I have the historical bathymetry for it, and it maxes out around 16 feet. But it's definitely pretty fertile and productive. So I might have to fish a little here first before I leave. This is one of the most significant clearings I've seen since my campsite this morning. The access point. Someone obviously uses it as a fish cleaning station. And it doesn't look like it's suitable for a campsite. I don't see anything flat up there. Anyway, just hopped out and got my treats. Love this stuff. Man, the pike in this lake are super aggressive. That first one inhaled the bait, and this guy T-boned this lure. Look at that. Oh, ow! I think he flailed the lead weight into my wrist. Little payback, huh? Alright, let's get him off. Had a pike at the boat, and I was hoping to just unhook him in the water. And he flapped his tail and just drove a wave of water over everything. Not even that big. Not big at all. But he soaked me. The pike in this lake are just crazy. They're hammering my baits. And I found at least one thing that they're feeding on. No, not me. Tons of little minnows. This guy's still alive actually, but he's floating, so his minutes are numbered, unfortunately. Turned the corner around the northeast end of Nugent Lake, and I'm into a river section here, and it's pretty cool. Very fertile, stacked with minnows, they're all over. Nice green grasses. I feel like a moose sighting is inevitable on this trip. I'm into Holiday Lake now, at the north end. The launch is somewhere down there. There's a public access on this lake. And this is the first campsite. There are a couple of other options. The trip report that I read said that this one was pretty used feeling. And I'm certainly getting that feeling. Oh yeah. There's a classic. The portable toilet. Lovely. Yeah. I hate it. It's pretty much everything I hate about a boat access campsite, so I'm going to check out the other one. It's still boat accessible, but the trip report said that it was better. I've got a view of the mountain from here, which I think is called Sansawaju. Well, it's hard in the waves to use zoom, but anyway, it's out there. I'll have another closer look at it when I come back down the Grassy River later in a few days. On the next point east of that nasty campsite, there's a very old campsite that appears to not have been used in a long time. Fire pit looks totally out of use. This chair's been there a long time. And it's a much nicer site in the sense that it's not a dump. But the water access is terrible. Getting the canoe out of the water, which I would need to right now because of the wind. I don't want it getting battered there all the time. It's just kind of a hassle, and I hate sites with bad water access. So I'm going to keep moving on. This site I didn't even know about, so I still have another option. Another big paddle tail lost to these aggressive pike. And that stinks because I was really counting on this lure for a lot of my trolling through the Grassy River because it's weedless. And now I'm all out. That's too bad. Found a great site. It's on a little point. That's the start of the Grassy River out there. Holiday Lake is on the other side of that. And it's terrific. I'm really surprised it wasn't marked on my map. It's a little tight, but for a soloist or any group camping with one tent, it's not bad at all. It's a little overgrown, but it's all tiny stuff. and it's a pretty nice bed of moss underneath, so I think I'll sleep great tonight. That's nice. Enjoying some hammock time here after a pretty long, tiring day, but a great day. Beautiful weather, beautiful site. Reestablished the fire pit there and the rest of the site in general. Cleared some paths over there. It's weird how unused it seemed. It's a great site, great water access. It's beauty. So here's a look at the route. I launched there, came through 3 portages today, tried to get into Charmindy Lake there, and I couldn't find that campsite. Moved on, came through here, that was that gross site. On that next point there was another site, the overgrown one. And then I'm on that little point there, and that wind's blowing them out. And that was the site I was going to stay on, but I don't even know what that one looks like now. I never saw it. Anyway, tomorrow I head up here. So at least now I'm doing a longer day today. I have a shorter day tomorrow. Might be a short portage somewhere in here, I think. And then I'm gonna camp there on Canoe Shed Lake. Oh, by the way, Rosa and Daryl from Canadian, not from them. On the Canadian Canoe Routes Forum, Rosa and Daryl provided this map along with a great trip report, so I thank them for that. I probably wouldn't be doing this trip without them. Anyway, from there, actually I'm going to switch to my topo map. So I put all the info from that map onto my topo map along with a bunch of other things like fish species, lake depths, and other just notes I wanted to keep in mind. So I head down from Canoe Shed, down Grassy. That's going to be hopefully all in one day into Ferris Lake here. And I'll spend a night or two there. Rosa and Daryl said that was the highlight of their trip, so sounds like a good place. There's some terrain there, and eventually I'll come back out the Grassy River, and there's Sansawaju Mountain, sacred moose it means. So I'll have a better look at it once I'm turning that bend there in the Grassy River. And then here's Grassy Lake, which is actually pretty deep. It gets up to 63 feet there. Even this little bay is up to 60 feet. And then back up Grassy, there's another access point there. Might be a rapid in there. And probably camp on Loon Wing Lake. First walleye of the trip. Just a little one. Oh. Nice little fish. Thanks, buddy. Yeah, this should be a pretty good fishing trip. I've had many pike hit from shore here, and now walleye, now that it's getting darker. Got a lot of faith right now.